be a sponge, and then bring the juice.
By focusing on your improvement, by focusing on your progress, and eliminating any fixed mindset that you may have and acts of perfectionism, then you encourage your own mastery.
On some level, we do what we want to do 24 hours a day. Now, sometimes it may not seem like that, but if I'm choosing to work instead of sleep, what I'm actually saying is keeping my job is more important than sleeping.
I'm tired of this. I'm tired of getting beat. What can I do to get over this hump? So mentally, that's when I kind of put that forefront, like, hey, it's either all or nothing.
I like to put failure in quotations because I don't believe that failure is true failure if you're looking at it with the right mindset.
The truth is, the journey to greatness is hard. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes focus, and every day you have to decide what you value, what you want to pursue, and what you want to achieve. And if you dig deep enough, if you push hard enough, we all have what it takes to be great. Welcome to the Edge of Greatness. Hello and welcome back to the Daily Dose. It is January 23rd, Monday, and I felt like it was a perfect time to start to talk to you about the 7 pillars of greatness. 7 pillars are something that I put together that I believe are the most important pieces of your development that can impact your journey to excellence and greatness the most. Now, when we look at these, there'll be some subcategories, and there's some definite things that you want to develop over the course of your life that can impact each of these pillars more. But today is about the foundational pillar, the most important pillar in my opinion, and that's work. The reason why work is the most important is because you can't avoid it. It's the great equalizer. No matter how far ahead you think you were born or how far behind you are, your work can make the difference. It can catch you up or it can have you fall behind. And no matter who you are, work is required for greatness. You have to do the work. And it's an interesting thing because I think people know that. I think most people understand that work will be required. But we've gotten to this point in our life, in our society, where we confuse busy with work. If you think about it, that's just busy work. Work has to be purposeful. It has to be focused. It has to have intent to everything that you're doing. There has to be a level of attention to detail that makes the work meaningful. Too often anymore, with kids I work with, they just go through the motions. There's a lot of just, well, I did the work, but you don't even know what you did. They weren't even paying attention. If I asked them to tell me exactly what they just did, they'll be, I don't know. There's no awareness around the efforts they're putting in. So it's an interesting place to be because I think, again, like I said, most people know what it takes to be great. Most people know that you have to work. Knowing and doing are way two different things. And we're at a point where we have to start to act on what we know. We have to start to apply what we know. And that takes a little more effort. That takes a little bit more of the discipline side of things. That takes a little bit more detail in what we're trying to accomplish. But ultimately, the biggest thing that I've noticed is, again, like I said just a moment ago, is do you know what kind of work you're doing? Are you aware of the work that's going on? Or are you just punching the clock, putting in the hours, and calling it a day? If you really want to get ahead, it's not about how many hours you work. It's about how hard and focused you work. Excuse me. And this is where the switch has to come. Most people think that if I put in more hours, I'll be ahead. Maybe. I'd rather you say, I'm going to work for 30 minutes really focused and hard on this one thing. I want that to be your attention. If you can start to make that adjustment, if you can start to prepare yourself to work for a specific amount of time with a high level of focus on a single task, I promise you, you'll see changes. But ultimately, what you really have to do is dial it in. That's on you. You know that will work. I don't think I'm saying anything that is groundbreaking information here. We've been told over and over and over and over again, if you do these things, you can find success. And it's really funny because the more we hear it, the less people do it. And I'm not sure why that is. Maybe because in our minds, we see all the tasks that have to be done, and we tell ourselves it's too much. We can't do it. Start breaking the work down. Start looking in smaller pieces. Be focused on doing one thing. You know, if you're a mechanic and you're rebuilding a carburetor and you all of a sudden start to think about 6 other things on the car that need to be fixed, do you think the carburetor is going to turn out the way you want it? Or if you're drawing or painting a beautiful piece of artwork and all of a sudden you're like, man, these trees are turning out pretty good. Maybe I should do the sky. Let's go over here. If we're constantly just bouncing around and we're not giving our attention to what we're working on, we're never going to get the pieces done that we need to put it together. So, while work is the most important thing and you need to do it, there's no avoiding it. You know, one of my favorite quotes, Joe Girard, the escalator to success is out of order. You're going to have to take the stairs one step at a time. And so let's start focusing on one step. Let's start doing one thing really well. And when you dial in your work, set an alarm. Start small. Give me 15 minutes of absolute focus on one thing. Then 30. Then 45. Then maybe you get to an hour. Then you don't give yourself a break. And you turn it all off. And you walk away. And if something else pops in your mind, you come back and you do it again. That might give you the advantage that you're looking for. The piece that you're missing. Don't try to accomplish it all today. It's not going to happen. There's too much. Put in high quality work for short durations, a couple different times throughout the day. And if you do that, I think you'll be satisfied with the results that you're getting. And 2, you'll be setting yourself apart. Because while everyone else in the hustle culture is 24/7, 365, yeah, I'm working so hard. They're not working. They're just moving. Be focused on what you're moving toward, and you're going to find yourself way ahead. As always, guys, keep reaching for the stars. Fall flat on your face, but remember, whenever we fall, always get up. Thank you for joining us today on the Edge of Greatness podcast. If you haven't yet, please take a minute now to subscribe and review our show. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the key components of greatness. The path to greatness is never linear, so remember to keep pursuing greatness no matter what. Keep stretching your abilities, reach for the stars, and fall flat on your face. But remember, no matter what happens, whenever we fall, always get up. Until next time, I'm Charles Schultz, and this was the Edge of Greatness podcast.